Fam, some of you guys have been asking how am I doing, so let me tell you, I'm doing fantastic. Watch what I eat. I got right here a whole ribeye. I got a whole onion. Now I got 2 massages today, 2 training sessions. I'm feeling great.
Je lui ai dit aime-moi, prends-moi dans tes bras et je n'ai plus personne.
Spartans! What is your profession?
The August 29th fight between Paul Miller, better known online as Gypsy Crusader, and Ben Azoulay, better known as King Azoulay, is finally approaching. After being pushed back an extra month, both men were handed something every fighter wants: more time. More time to sharpen their skills. More time to fix weaknesses. More time to prepare. Now, before anyone starts lighting up the comment section, no, today isn't about Paul's past, and it isn't about Ben's endless list of unbelievable stories. We'll save that for another video. Today, I want to look at one thing. Who actually looks like they're preparing for a fight? Let's start with Paul Miller. In a recent interview, Paul explained that he isn't telling people where he's training. Honestly, that makes sense.
I don't want to say where I've been training because I just don't want to do that. But I will say this. At first, I was training completely alone. Everything was by myself, running. I had hired a conditioning coach. I was doing conditioning stuff, bag work, sparring sparingly when I can. There was like one gym up here. And then I went somewhere else, and there was a gym there, and they allowed me to train with them. And I'm going to go back there for the remainder of my camp. So I'm going back there. I was also able to get some really, really great training in when I went out to Europe. So everything really came together. Like the first couple of months, it was just me like conditioning myself. Bag work, strength and conditioning stuff, all of that, like mental preparation. And then towards like the middle of it, I started getting real like fight training in, sparring, pad work, all of that. And now I have full on like pad works, clenching, sparring. Like I have all of that stuff that I can do in one spot. And I was doing that while I was in Europe too. So it all came together really, really well. And like I said, I'm putting the finishing touches on things for these next couple of weeks. And I am more than confident that I'm very ready.
Given everything surrounding his past, there are probably gyms that don't want the attention. That's their decision. The reality is, it doesn't matter where you train. You can train in a warehouse, a garage, an old-school Rocky-style basement, or the fanciest MMA gym money can buy. The address doesn't win fights. The work does. And from the footage that's been released, Paul actually looks pretty solid. He's noticeably improved since his last fight. His conditioning looks better. His movement is cleaner. The punches are still a little stiff, but they're landing with a lot more purpose than before. Most importantly, he's training for the rule set. Because here's the part that surprised me. This isn't another celebrity boxing match. Ben wanted this to be kickboxing. That's an interesting decision considering Paul has years of experience in kickboxing as both a competitor and trainer. That's like challenging a fisherman to a fishing contest and hoping he forgets how to cast a line. Maybe Ben thinks beating Paul at Paul's own game makes the victory mean more. Or maybe he genuinely believes he's ready. Either way, we'll find out soon enough. One thing Paul said during the interview really stood out to me. He was asked what kind of experience Ben has. Paul's response wasn't some over-the-top trash talk. He simply said Ben has a puncher's chance.
Of course, I take every person that I fight very seriously, and I'm taking him seriously as well. Everybody's got a puncher's chance. But he just doesn't understand all of the aspects of fighting.
That tells me a lot. That's not arrogance, that's experience. Every veteran fighter understands one thing. Anybody can land one perfect shot. If you get careless, if you underestimate your opponent, if you stop respecting the danger, you're the one waking up looking at the lights. That tiny sentence tells me Paul isn't overlooking Ben. He's preparing for the possibility that one mistake changes everything. That's the mindset of somebody who's spent years around combat sports. Now let's switch over to King Azoulay. And honestly, I'm trying here, because I wanted to find footage that showed serious preparation, road work, pad work, technical drills, heavy sparring, conditioning, anything. Instead, most of what we get are cinematic highlight reels, dark rooms, perfect studio lighting, slow motion punches, rain shots, enough dramatic camera angles to qualify for a Netflix trailer. It looks cool. I'm just not convinced it tells us much about his actual preparation. Then we get the, let's call it, sparring. Yeah, I'm putting sparring in quotation marks. Because if you've spent any time around combat sports, a few things jump out immediately. Hands low, chin high, flat-footed, every punch telegraphed, very little head movement, very little body movement. The kind of habits experienced fighters spend years trying to get rid of. And here's something else that caught my attention. If Paul Miller is the man standing across from you on August 29th, why aren't we seeing training partners who resemble Paul Miller? From the footage Ben has released, none of his partners really seem to match Paul's build or his style. Paul appears to be around 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1". Ben has publicly claimed he's over 6 feet as well, but recently surfaced court documents discussed by John Bravo reportedly listed Ben at 5 feet 10 inches when he was 17. Could he have grown after that? Sure, that's possible. But regardless of whether Paul is 6 feet or 6'1", wouldn't you want taller training partners? Wouldn't you want people who fight like kickboxers? Styles make fights. Training partners matter. If you're preparing for someone with reach, kickboxing experience, and years of striking behind him, your training should reflect that. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. Maybe Ben is training 6 hours a day behind closed doors and intentionally uploading footage that makes him look sloppy to throw everyone off. That's possible. It just isn't the conclusion I'd reach based on what's publicly available. So while Ben is posting about steaks, massages, and another cinematic montage, Paul appears to be putting in the boring work. Conditioning, repetition, drills, sparring, sweat equity. Now, the biggest question isn't who wins. The biggest question is, will Ben even show up? Because if he doesn't, I don't think anyone would be completely shocked. And if that happens, I'm honestly curious what the explanation will be this time. Because one thing Ben has never been short on is explanations. But if he does show up, then we've got ourselves a fight. Maybe Paul walks through him. Maybe Ben shocks everybody. Maybe it ends in the first round. Maybe it becomes an absolute war. That's the beauty of combat sports. Nobody really knows until the bell rings. What I do think is this. Right now, Paul seems focused on becoming a better fighter. Ben seems focused on convincing everyone he already is one. Those are two very different approaches. And on August 29th, none of the stories matter. None of the highlight reels matter. None of the interviews matter. When that bell rings, there's nowhere to hide. No second takes. No dramatic lighting, no slow motion edits, just two men standing across from each other, and one of them is about to find out whether preparation beats presentation. Either way, we'll definitely be watching.